Modern people should be winning at sex. We have private bedrooms, hot showers, soft beds, contraception, medicine, dating apps, therapy words, online advice, and enough scented candles to start a small religious movement. The common belief is obvious. Modern people must have better sex. Because we have privacy, safety, knowledge, medicine, and freedom ancient humans never had. And yet, somehow, a lot of people are still tired, lonely, distracted, stressed, insecure, or lying next to someone, while their brain is still answering email. The body is in bed. The mind is at work. Now, compare that with ancient humans. No locked bed, no mattress, no bathroom, no dating profile, no. What are we? Conversation over iced coffee? Just cold air, smoke, sore legs, hungry children, a fire that might go out, and something with teeth moving somewhere beyond the dark. So the question sounds ridiculous at first. Did ancient humans have better sex than modern people? Not safer sex. Modern people win there, not cleaner sex. Again, modern people win, unless your personal brand is smoke, sweat, and old animal hide. But better in the sense of being more physical, more present, and more tied to real trust? That is where things get uncomfortable, because modern life gave us privacy, but it also gave us stress that follows us into bed. It gave us comfort, but it also gave us a lifestyle where the body sits all day, compares itself all night, then somehow has to feel sexy on command. Ancient life was harsher, dirtier, more dangerous, and less fair, but it may have kept sex closer to the thing it originally was. Not just pleasure, not just romance, but a human bond built inside hunger, warmth, jealousy, protection, pregnancy, work, danger, and survival. Now, we need to be honest early. We cannot interview ancient love. No Ice Age couple left a diary saying, "Great hunt today." Intimacy was emotionally fulfilling. 4 stars. Sex does not fossilize well. A skeleton can tell us about injury, diet, age, disease, childbirth, stress, movement, and sometimes patterns of labor. It cannot tell us exactly who desired whom, who felt safe, who felt lonely, who laughed in the dark, or who deeply regretted sleeping too close to the wrong person. So this is not a clean scoreboard. We are reading clues. Bodies, tools, burials, pregnancy risk, small group life, modern biology, hunter-gatherer comparisons, and the basic fact that humans are still humans, whether they sleep under a roof or under smoke-stained animal hide. And before we start imagining prehistoric people as wild, naked gym models running around doing whatever they wanted, we need to kill one fantasy early. Ancient sex was probably not a free-for-all. It is easy to imagine it that way. No marriage office, no hotel check-in, no legal paper, no government form turning desire into admin, no one asking for your relationship status while pretending they are just curious. But a prehistoric camp was not a nightclub with spears. A small band might have 20, 30, maybe 50 people. That means everyone knew everyone. Everyone knew who slept near whom. Everyone noticed who shared food. Everyone noticed who got jealous. Everyone noticed pregnancy. Everyone noticed when 2 people created tension around the fire, and suddenly the whole camp became awkward before breakfast. There may have been no police, but there was gossip. There was anger. There was revenge. There was family pressure. There was the very real possibility that one bad sexual decision could turn tomorrow's dinner into a tribal meeting nobody wanted. No written law did not mean no rules. It meant the rules had faces: hunger, jealousy, pregnancy, status, protection, survival. Modern law might punish you months later. Prehistoric group could punish you by dinner. One angry partner, one jealous rival, one elder deciding you were becoming a problem, one family refusing to share food. That is not total freedom. That is a different cage. So if ancient humans had better sex, it was not because they lived in some fantasy world where everyone did anything with anyone and nobody cared. People cared. Probably a lot. Because, in a small group, sex was never just private entertainment. It could decide who trusted you, who helped you, who protected your child, who shared meat with you after a hunt, who wanted to sleep near you, and who wanted to throw a stone at your head because you slept too close to the wrong person. That is the first big difference. For modern people, sex can feel separate from life. Something scheduled after work, something squeezed between stress, screens, childcare, insecurity, and sleep. For ancient people, sex was not separate from life. It was inside life. inside the same shelter, inside the same fire, inside the same group that hunted together, gathered together, carried children together, treated wounds together, buried the dead together, and listened to the same dark forest at night. Partner was not just someone attracted. Partner might be the person who shared food when the hunt failed, person who kept a child warm, the person who noticed when you were sick, the person who helped you carry wood, the person who stood between your family and danger. That changes desire, because attraction is not only about looks, it is also about usefulness, calm under pressure, generosity, strength, skill, patience, courage, a good sense of humor when life is terrible, which, honestly, might be one of the oldest survival tools humans have. A person who could track animals, find routes, repair tools, calm a crying child, tell a story, share food, or stay steady during danger was not just nice. They were valuable. And value is attractive. This is where ancient humans may have had one real advantage over many modern. Their bodies were used every day. Ancient humans did not go to the gym. The gym was called not dying. They walked for miles because food did not deliver itself. They carried wood, water, stone, meat, children, hides, tools, and whatever else the day demanded. They squatted by fires, climbed slopes, dug roots, tracked animals, ran when running mattered, scraped hides, butchered meat, moved through forests, mud, snow, heat, rock, and grassland. A hunter did not have leg day. A gatherer did not have functional training. Life was functional training. All day, every day. The body was not decorated. It was equipment. And it had to work. That kind of life does something modern life often removes. It builds stamina. It keeps blood moving. It keeps muscles working. It makes balance, grip, endurance, and body awareness part of normal life. Not something you buy a monthly membership for and then avoid for 3 weeks. And yes, that matters for sex. Desire is not only in the head, it lives in sleep, blood flow, energy, confidence, hormones, breathing, movement, and whether your body feels alive or like a tired office chair with skin. Better stamina, stronger circulation, more daily movement, and less body shame could all support desire. Not magically, physically. A body that walks, carries, squats, climbs, hunts, gathers, and rests under real darkness may experience desire differently from a body folded into a chair under artificial light for 10 hours. Modern bodies are protected, but many are also trapped in chairs, trapped in screens, trapped in stress, trapped in comparison, trapped in a lifestyle where the body is expected to perform intimacy at night after being ignored all day. Good luck with that. Ancient bodies may have been better prepared for sex in one simple way. They were used every day. But this is not a caveman fitness fantasy, because survival bodies also suffered. A hungry body is not romantic. A freezing body is not romantic. A body with fever, parasites, smoke in the lungs, bad teeth, injuries, and 2 children crying nearby is not thinking, tonight feels magic. Ancient life could build strength. It could also break people. Bones fractured, joints wore down, teeth cracked, skin burned, wounds infected. Childbirth could kill. A bad season could drain everyone. Too little food could suppress desire. Too much stress could shut the body down. So ancient physical life may have helped desire when conditions were good, when food was shared, when the group felt safe, when the fire was warm, when the children finally stopped moving, when bodies were tired but not destroyed. In those moments, intimacy may have felt immediate, physical, raw, real. But in hard times, survival could crush desire completely. This is why the answer is not simple. Modern people have huge advantages. Contraception changed everything. It allowed sex to be separated from pregnancy in ways ancient people could not fully control. Antibiotics changed the risk of infection. Modern medicine changed childbirth. Consent laws, sexual education, and the ability to leave abusive relationships have changed intimacy for millions of people, especially women, especially children, especially anyone vulnerable to coercion. We cannot pretend those are small things. A prehistoric night might look beautiful in our imagination. Firelight on skin, stars without city glow, bodies closed for warmth. Very poetic, very thumbnail friendly, but outside that fire were cold, hunger, infection, violence, childbirth without surgery, pain without anesthesia, and no hospital waiting beyond the tree. Depending on the group, a hurt person might be protected or ignored or blamed. Ancient life could be tender, but it was not gentle by default. So, if we are asking, who had safer sex. Modern people win. If we are asking, who had cleaner sex? Modern people win. If we are asking, who had more medical protection? Modern people win so hard it is not even a fight. But safer does not always mean better. A padded room is safe. That does not make it exciting. And this is where modern life starts looking stupid. We built the most comfortable sexual environment in human history, then filled it with stress, comparison, exhaustion, porn, debt, bad sleep, body shame, dating apps, performance anxiety, and phones glowing beside the pillow like tiny blue demons. Modern people have beds, but many do not have energy. Modern people have privacy, but many cannot get their own brain to leave the room. Modern people have more options, but more options can turn people into products. Swipe, compare, ghost, repeat. Congratulations. We turned desire into shop. Ancient people had the opposite problem. They had fewer options, less privacy, worse hygiene, more danger, and zero medical back. But they also lived in a world where bodies were harder to fake. You could not pretend to be useful for 6 months with good photos and a confident bio. The camp saw you. Could you carry wood? Could you find food? Could you stay calm when the dogs barked at the dark? Could you share meat when you were hungry? Could you help with a child that was not even yours? Could you keep your temper when everyone was tired, cold, and one bad decision away from misery? That was attraction with consequences. Not clean, not fair, not romantic, but real. A person was not just a body. They were a track record. And that may be one reason ancient desire could feel more grounded than modern desire. Modern life lets us desire images. Ancient life forced people to desire evidence. What did this person do when food was short? What did they do when someone was injured? What did they do when fear entered the camp? What did they do when nobody was performing? That kind of attraction is harder to fake and harder to forget. Now, does that mean ancient sex was better? No, not for everyone, not even close. For many people, ancient sex may have been dangerous, unequal, painful, pressured, or tied to risks modern people can barely imagine. Pregnancy could kill. Infection could kill. A violent partner could ruin a life. A jealous rival could split a group. A bad reputation could follow you every day because there was nowhere else to go. So no, the past was not some perfect wild bed. It was not freedom, it was exposure. But that exposure cut both ways. It made life harsher. It also made intimacy harder to separate from reality. Today, a person can look desirable online and be useless in real life. Ancient people did not have that luxury. A lazy liar, a selfish partner, a coward, a hoarder, a violent fool the group would know. Maybe not instantly, but soon. In a small camp, your body was not the only thing being judged. Your behavior was visible. Your courage was visible. Your generosity was visible. Your jealousy was visible. Your weakness was visible. Your care was visible. That makes sex less private, but also less fake. And this is the part modern people may not want to hear. Maybe ancient humans did not have better sex because they were more natural. Maybe they had some better conditions because their lives gave desire more raw material, more movement, more touch, more real bodies, more shared danger, more obvious dependence. More reasons to trust or distrust someone before getting close. Modern life gives us comfort, but comfort can make the body lazy. Modern life gives us choice, but choice can make people disposed. Modern life gives us privacy, but privacy can become isolation. Modern life gives us screens, and screens are very good at making normal people feel defective. Ancient humans had none of that. They had worse problems, much worse. But they were not lying in bed wondering why a stranger online looked happier, hotter, richer, and more sexually successful. They were wondering whether the fire would last until morning. Terrible problem. But at least it was real. That is the brutal trait. Modern sex is protected, but often distracted. Ancient sex was dangerous, but often embedded in real life. Modern bodies are safer, but often underused. Ancient bodies were battered, but alive from constant movement. Modern desire has more freedom, but more noise. Ancient desire had less freedom, but more consequence. Now, we need to talk about privacy, because this is where the fantasy gets messy. Modern people think privacy means closing a door, Ancient people did not always have a door. They had a dark corner
They
of
had
a
a
shelter,
dark corner of
a
a
few
shelter.
trees, a cold night, a moment when the fire was low and the children finally stopped moving. Privacy had limits. Go too close to the camp, and people know. Go too far from the camp,
Go
and
too
something
far
with
from the
teeth might
camp.
also. That is a mood killer. So ancient sex may have been more spontaneous in some ways, but not necessarily easy. No hotel room, no locked apartment, no long shower, no clean separation between adult life and family life. Children, elders, kin, smoke, dogs, tools, hides, food, and sleeping bodies may all have occupied the same space. That sounds uncomfortable to modern ears, because it was. But it also means bodies were less hidden from normal life. Birth, breastfeeding, aging, illness, menstruation, injury, nakedness, death. These things were probably more visible than they are for many modern people. Not because ancient people had no modesty. Every human group has rules. But because life was harder to edit, modern life hides the body, then sells it back to us as an image. Ancient life may have made the body ordinary, smelly, useful, tired, warm, scarred, aging, fertile, wounded, strong, real, 5/star. That could reduce some kinds of shame. It could also increase pressure, because in a small group, everyone knows your business. Again, not freedom, a different cage. And pregnancy made everything serious. Modern people can sometimes treat sex as pleasure without immediate life-changing consequence. Ancient people did not have that luxury in the same way. Pregnancy meant risk. Birth meant danger. A baby meant years of care. And human babies are useless for a very long time. Adorable, yes. But from a survival perspective, basically screaming potatoes that cannot walk. That meant sex was tied to childcare, food, protection, and group support. A sexual relationship could create more than pleasure. It could create obligation, a new mouth, a new alliance, a new conflict, a new reason for people to help, or a new reason for people to fight. So when we ask whether ancient sex was better, we can not only ask whether it felt good, we have to ask what it cost. What happened after? Who carried the risk? Who had power? Who had support? Who could say yes freely? Who could say no safe? That is the honest version. Dut. Ancient people also understood attraction, not in a modern, polished, online way, but in a human way. They decorated themselves. They used pigments, shells, beads, ornaments, teeth, feathers, clothing, hair, body marks, and whatever their world gave them. Not because they were shallow, because they were human. Look at me. Remember me. I belong. I am desirable. I am someone. That part is old. Very ancient. Attractiveness was probably harder to separate from daily proof. A strong body mattered, but not just a pretty body. A skilled hand mattered. A generous person mattered. A calm person mattered. Someone who could carry a child, share food, make tools, gather plants, track animals, defend others, or keep peace in the group could become attractive for reasons deeper than shape alone. Modern people know this too, but modern life buries it under performance. We are told to look desirable even when we feel dead inside. Ancient humans probably did not have that exact problem. They had much worse problems, like infection, hunger, and being eaten. So, fair trade? Not exactly. But they may have had less separation between the body people desired and the life that body actually lived. Ancient humans may have had fewer tools for pleasure, but more daily touch. Sleeping near others for warmth, grooming hair, carrying infants, treating wounds, dancing, working shoulder to shoulder, sharing food, reading faces by firelight. These ordinary forms of contact matter. Human skin is social. The nervous system is social. We are not built only for independence. We are built to regulate through other people. A hand on the shoulder, a body nearby, a shared laugh after fear, familiar smell, a trusted person sleeping close enough that the night feels less dangerous. Sex grows out of that world. Not always beautifully, not always fairly, not always safely, but deeply. Modern people often have to rebuild that from scratch. After work, after traffic, after scrolling, after comparing, after pretending to be fine, after ignoring the body all day. Then suddenly, at 11:47 p.m., the body is expected to become relaxed, confident, playful, affectionate, and available. That is not desire. That is a software update at the worst possible time. So did ancient humans have better sex than modern people? Here is the honest answer. In safety, hygiene, consent, contraception, and medicine, modern people win. No debate. But in physical readiness, daily touch, shared life, body confidence, and desire that grew from real-world trust instead of edited images, ancient humans may have had an edge. Not because they were wilder, not because they were morally better, not because the past was romantic. The past was smoke, hunger, parasites, bad teeth, jealousy, childbirth risk, and sleeping too close to people who snored like dying animals. But their bodies were in the game, their relationships were in the open, their attraction was tied to survival, and their sex, when conditions were good, may have been less separated from the rest of being alive. That is the uncomfortable answer. Modern life did not destroy sex, but it did make sex easier to detach from the body, from trust, from effort, from daily touch, and from real attention. We do not need to go back to cave. Please do not. Showers are good. Medicine is good. Doors are excellent. But maybe the ancient lesson is this. Better sex does not come from having the softest bed. It comes from having a body that still feels alive, a mind that is actually in the room, and a partner who is more than just another option on a glowing screen.